Sometimes the world borders on the absurd, and you just think, what is going on? This morning, the Russian ambassador to the UK, Andrei Kelin, is appearing on Sunday with Laura Kunsberg, and the interview has already been leaked, and he gives a performance worthy of Chekhov. If Chekhov had written espionage dramas involving submarines and seabed surveillance, pressed on whether Russia had planted sensors to track the UK's nuclear deterrent, Mr. Kelin shrugged in diplomatic deadpan, "I'm not going to deny it." Well, he did deny it, of course, or rather he denied that it posed any threat. Apparently monitoring British Vanguard submarines is now the global equivalent of birdwatching, curious perhaps, but quite harmless. And this follows revelations in the Sunday Times that Russian devices, potentially part of the so-called grey zone campaign, have been discovered in waters around Britain. They aren't just listening posts. They're infrastructure mapping systems designed to locate and potentially sabotage undersea cables, critical defence links. And they say it's not warfare, it's just spying. With an underwater twist. The former minister, Tobias Ellwood, has called us behind the curve. And you'll permit the metaphor. One might ask, what curve? the bathymetric curve of the sea floor, the moral curve of what counts as a threat in a post-truth era, the curve of Trump's assistance to Ukraine. It's, as I say, there's an element of the ridiculous about it. But if you really want ridiculous, is the other story in the newspapers today from Lord Hendy. And we could call it the gospel of bad judgment. For no Sunday would be complete without an act of British absurdity. And there's Lord Peter Hendy, who's the rail minister, resplendent behind the wheel of a vintage Routemaster bus on a charity drive through London. And that was his moment while driving the bus to check his texts during rush hour. And the phone was apparently about a text to a friend with a prostate issue. Admirable cause, terrible timing, and the irony. Lord Hendy is a safety figure in the rail world, and it's a bit like discovering the chief fire officer is moonlighting as a pyrotechnician. In this case, he's apologised, he's contacted the police, he awaits a probable 6 points on his licence and a fine, and one passenger reported him. Civil duty is alive and well, even if our transport ministers are otherwise engaged in digital correspondence while driving classic buses. It just seems absurd. And then you fly across the Atlantic to Donald Trump, who's somewhat improbably back in the diplomatic fray, and his emissary, Pete Witkoff, has held 2-hour talks with Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg this weekend, the content of which remains sort of hidden, really. Trump has said Russia has to get moving, a statement equal parts command, confusion and campaign slogan. His spokeswoman, Caroline Levitt, claimed Trump will use his leverage to push for peace. What is his leverage, a golf club? It apparently involves a minerals deal with Ukraine and a pipeline grab that's drawn comparisons to a colonial carve-up. It's diplomacy as asset acquisition, a ceasefire in exchange for resources, land for leverage. Welcome to the realpolitik bazaar, where peace comes with purchase options and limited warranty. So here we are on the same Sunday morning. A Russian ambassador half admits to underwater surveillance. A British peer texts while driving a red bus around Westminster, and Trump flirts with brokering peace in exchange for mining rights. It isn't merely absurd, it's Orwellian slapstick, a pageant where surveillance is denied but justified, where public figures ignore their own regulations, where diplomacy is a game of monopoly conducted over social media. One might be tempted to laugh. I am, but the sea is full of secrets, the buses are full of passengers, and the war, sadly, is full of real victims. And we ought to pay proper attention to all of that, even on a Sunday morning.